Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to talk about something most people misunderstand: being alone. Society has trained us to believe that being alone is a problem, a sign of weakness, or even a punishment, but I'm here to tell you being alone is a power. It's in solitude that the greatest transformations take place. It's in solitude that your mind becomes sharp, your purpose becomes clear, and your strength becomes undeniable. When you're alone, you meet the most important person in your life, you. The world is filled with distractions, opinions, and influences that constantly shape how you think, how you act, and what you believe. But when you remove all of that, when you step away from the noise, you are left with the rawest, most unfiltered version of yourself. That is where true self-discovery begins. Most people never take the time to truly understand themselves. They live according to what society expects of them, what their family wants, or what their friends believe is right. They follow trends, adapt to the crowd, and often suppress their own desires to fit in. But solitude offers a different path. It forces you to ask yourself, who am I really? When you remove external validation, when you're not performing for anyone, when there is no one to impress, you are left with your true self. And for many, this can be an uncomfortable experience because it requires honesty. Being alone allows you to reflect on your strengths and weaknesses without judgment. You begin to notice patterns in your thoughts, the way you react to situations, and the emotions that rise within you. You start recognizing which of your beliefs are truly yours and which ones were given to you by others. This is crucial, because if you don't know who you are, you'll never know what you truly want. You'll chase goals that don't belong to you. You'll live by rules that don't serve you. And you'll wake up years later wondering why you feel unfulfilled. In solitude, you develop clarity. Without the distractions of social expectations, you can dig deep into your values and passions. You can explore ideas without fear of criticism. You begin to understand what excites you, what bores you, and what drains your energy. You learn what truly matters to you, not what you've been told should matter. This process is powerful because it sets the foundation for everything else in life. When you truly know yourself, decision-making becomes easier. You no longer second-guess your choices because you are in alignment with your values. You no longer seek approval because you trust your own judgment. Spending time alone also reveals how you handle yourself in moments of discomfort. Many people rely on external stimulation to escape their thoughts. They distract themselves with social media and entertainment or constant interaction. But when you embrace solitude, you learn to sit with your emotions, even the uncomfortable ones. You start recognizing the difference between temporary feelings and deeper truths. You become aware of your fears, your doubts, and the limiting beliefs that hold you back. Instead of running from them, you begin to address them. This is where growth happens. When you embrace solitude, you also build a deeper relationship with yourself. You start treating yourself with the same respect and understanding that you would give to a close friend. You stop being overly critical and start being more compassionate. You give yourself the space to think, to grow, and to evolve. This is important because the way you treat yourself determines how others will treat you. If you don't value your own time, energy, and thoughts, no one else will. Another powerful aspect of self-discovery in solitude is the ability to set your own standards. When you're constantly surrounded by people, it's easy to measure yourself against them. But when you're alone, you set the rules. You define success on your own terms. You create a vision for your life based on what fulfills you, not what impresses others. This is where true confidence is built, not from external validation, but from an internal sense of purpose. Being alone isn't about isolation, it's about introspection. It's about stepping away from the world long enough to understand yourself deeply. Because once you do that, once you truly know who you are, you become unstoppable. Being alone is one of the most powerful ways to sharpen your mind. In a world filled with constant distractions, endless conversations, and an overload of information, solitude provides a rare opportunity to clear the noise and focus on what truly matters. The mind, like a blade, requires sharpening. And just as a blade is honed best against a steady stone, the mind is honed best in moments of deep reflection and undisturbed thought. When you are alone, you have the time to engage in focused thinking. Most people never experience deep thought because their minds are always occupied by external input. Conversations, social media, television, or the opinions of others. But when you remove these distractions, your mind starts working differently. It begins to process information at a deeper level. You gain clarity that isn't possible when your thoughts are constantly interrupted. This is why the greatest thinkers, leaders, and creators have always valued solitude. They knew that breakthroughs don't happen in a crowded room filled with noise, but in moments of stillness where the mind can explore ideas freely. Being alone allows you to train your attention. In today's world, attention spans are at an all-time low. People switch from one thing to another without fully absorbing anything. But solitude teaches you to stay with a thought, to follow an idea to its conclusion, to truly focus. This kind of deep concentration is what leads to mastery in any field. Whether it's learning a new skill, reading a book, or solving a problem, solitude gives your mind the space to engage deeply. When you spend time alone, you become more aware of your thoughts, and you start to notice patterns in the way you think. You begin to question things you once accepted without thought. You develop critical thinking skills, the ability to analyze situations from different angles, and the patience to sit with a problem long enough to find the best solution. Solitude also enhances creativity. The mind is at its most creative when it is free from distractions. When you are alone, your thoughts can wander, make connections, and generate new ideas. Many of the world's greatest inventions, works of art, and revolutionary ideas were born out of solitude. The ability to think creatively is not something that happens when you are constantly engaged in conversation or surrounded by noise. It happens in moments of quiet, when your mind is allowed to explore possibilities without interruption. Being alone also strengthens your mental discipline. Most people avoid solitude because they are uncomfortable with their own thoughts. They seek distractions to escape their inner world. But those who embrace being alone develop a level of mental resilience that is rare. They learn to sit with discomfort, to manage their thoughts, and to develop a strong inner dialogue. They don't need constant entertainment or validation from others because they have trained their minds to be independent. This level of mental strength is what separates those who lead from those who follow. Another powerful effect of solitude is the ability to reflect on past experiences and learn from them. When you are constantly engaged with the outside world, you rarely take the time to analyze your actions, your decisions, and their consequences. But in solitude, you can look back with a clear mind. You can see patterns in your behavior, recognize mistakes, and develop strategies for improvement. This kind of self-awareness leads to growth. It allows you to approach life with a higher level of understanding and wisdom. The mind thrives in moments of stillness. It sharpens itself when given the chance to focus, reflect, and create. The most powerful minds in history have understood this, and those who seek true mental clarity and strength must learn to embrace being alone. It is in solitude that the mind finds its sharpest edge. Solitude is one of the most powerful tools for mastering emotions. In a world filled with constant interaction, stimulation, and influence, many people find themselves reacting impulsively to situations rather than responding with thought and clarity. When you are constantly surrounded by others, your emotions are often dictated by external circumstances. Someone's words, a social expectation, or an unexpected event. But when you take time to be alone, you begin to understand your emotions at a deeper level. You learn to separate what is temporary from what is important, what is a real concern from what is just a passing feeling. This is where true control begins. Most people never take the time to examine their emotions because they're too busy being swept up by them. When anger arises, they lash out. When fear appears, they retreat. When sadness comes, they let it consume them. But solitude forces you to face these emotions without the influence of others. It gives you the space to observe how you feel, why you feel that way, and what those feelings are trying to tell you. Instead of reacting on impulse, you develop the ability to pause, reflect, and make choices based on understanding rather than emotion. When you spend time alone, you begin to notice patterns in your emotional responses. You see which situations trigger stress, what kind of thoughts create anxiety, and which habits bring you peace. This self-awareness is the first step toward emotional control. You start to recognize that not every emotion requires action. Just because you feel anger doesn't mean you need to express it immediately. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean you need to run from the situation. Solitude teaches you patience. It gives you the ability to sit with an emotion, analyze it, and decide the best course of action rather than letting it control you. Another important benefit of solitude is that it helps you detach from the emotional influence of others. When you are constantly surrounded by people, it's easy to absorb their emotions as your own. If someone is frustrated, you may find yourself becoming tense. If someone is anxious, their energy can make you uneasy. This emotional contagion happens without you even realizing it. But when you take time to be alone, you create a boundary between your emotions and the emotions of others. You learn to differentiate between what you truly feel and what you have picked up from the outside world. This ability to remain emotionally independent gives you strength in every aspect of life. Solitude also helps you build emotional resilience. When you rely on external sources for comfort, validation, or distraction, you become dependent on them. You need someone to reassure you when you feel insecure, someone to entertain you when you feel bored, someone to support you when you feel weak. But when you embrace solitude, you learn to provide these things for yourself. You develop the ability to comfort yourself, to find peace within, and to motivate yourself when no one else is there. This kind of inner strength makes you unshakable. You become someone who can handle challenges without being overwhelmed by emotion. Someone who can stay calm in situations that would normally create stress or panic. Through solitude, you also learn to express your emotions in a healthier way. Many people suppress their feelings, pretending they don't exist, until they build up and explode. Others express their emotions recklessly, causing harm to themselves and those around them. But when you take time alone to reflect, you develop emotional intelligence. You learn to acknowledge your feelings without being controlled by them. You find ways to process them constructively through writing, meditation, deep thinking, or simply giving yourself the space to let emotions settle before making decisions. The more time you spend alone, the more control you gain over your emotional world. You become less reactive and more intentional. You stop allowing minor inconveniences to ruin your day. You develop a deep sense of inner stability, knowing that no matter what happens externally, you have the strength to navigate it calmly. This kind of emotional control not only improves your own life, but also makes you a stronger presence for others. People naturally trust and respect those who can remain composed under pressure, who don't let their emotions dictate their actions, and who bring a sense of stability to every situation. Mastering emotions isn't about suppressing them or pretending they don't exist. It's about understanding them, managing them, and using them in a way that serves you rather than weakens you. Solitude is where this mastery begins. When you remove the distractions, the influences, and the noise, you are left with yourself and your emotions in their purest form. That is where the work happens. That is where true control is built. Being alone is the foundation of self-reliance. In a world where people are constantly seeking validation, support, and reassurance from others, solitude offers the rare opportunity to develop true independence. Many individuals go through life depending on someone else for motivation, decision-making, and even emotional stability. But when you embrace being alone, you begin to realize that everything you need is already within you. You no longer wait for someone to push you forward or give you permission to pursue your goals. You learn to trust yourself, think for yourself, and act for yourself. Self-reliance is not just about surviving on your own, it's about thriving on your own. When you are alone, there is no one to tell you what to do, no one to guide your steps, and no one to fall back on. This forces you to become resourceful. You begin to develop problem-solving skills, the ability to make firm decisions, and the confidence to stand by those decisions. Many people fear making mistakes, which is why they look to others for constant advice. But when you rely on yourself, mistakes become learning experiences rather than failures. You stop hesitating, stop overanalyzing, and start taking action with conviction. Spending time alone also teaches you the value of personal responsibility. When you are surrounded by people, it is easy to shift blame, to rely on someone else to fix things, or to seek guidance at every turn. But in solitude, there is no one else to depend on. If something isn't working, you must figure it out. If you are unhappy, you must find a way to change it. If you have a goal, you must create the discipline to achieve it. This mindset shift is what separates those who lead from those who follow. The people who succeed in life are not the ones who wait for the perfect circumstances. They are the ones who take responsibility for creating their own path. When you embrace solitude, you also develop self-trust. Many people second-guess themselves because they have spent their entire lives relying on others to make choices for them. But when you are alone, you have the chance to listen to your own voice. You begin to trust your instincts, to make choices based on your own reasoning rather than external influence. The more decisions you make on your own, the more confident you become in your ability to handle life's challenges. Over time, you stop seeking approval from others because you have built the confidence to trust your own judgment. Another powerful aspect of solitude is that it teaches you how to manage your own energy. Many people drain themselves trying to meet the expectations of others, constantly giving their time and attention away without considering their own needs. But when you spend time alone, you become more aware of how you feel, what energizes you and what drains you. You begin to set boundaries, to prioritize what truly matters, and to say no to things that do not align with your goals. This self-awareness is a critical part of self-reliance because it ensures that your time and energy are spent on things that bring you growth and fulfillment. Self-reliance also means becoming comfortable with solitude itself. Many people fear being alone because they associate it with loneliness. But loneliness comes from needing external validation, while solitude is about self-sufficiency. When you are truly self-reliant, you do not feel empty when you are alone. You feel powerful. You enjoy your own company. You engage in meaningful activities, and you find fulfillment within yourself rather than searching for it in others. This level of self-contentment makes you unstoppable because you are no longer dependent on anyone to make you feel whole. Embracing solitude is a transformative experience. It strengthens your ability to think independently, to trust yourself, to take responsibility for your life, and to create success on your own terms. The more time you spend relying on yourself, the stronger you become. You develop the mindset of someone who does not wait for opportunities but creates them. You become someone who does not need validation but stands firm in their own beliefs. You stop looking for security in others because you have built it within yourself. Being alone is not a weakness. It is a source of unmatched power, and those who embrace it will always have control over their own destiny. Being alone makes you stronger in relationships because it teaches you self-sufficiency, emotional balance, and a deeper understanding of who you are. Many people enter relationships with the hope that another person will complete them, fill their emotional gaps, or provide them with a sense of purpose. But when you rely on someone else for your happiness, you give away your power. True strength in relationships comes from knowing that you are whole on your own, that you do not need another person to feel fulfilled, but instead choose to be with them because they add value to your life. Solitude allows you to build a strong foundation within yourself before sharing your life with someone else. When you spend time alone, you develop a deeper understanding of your own needs, values, and desires. You become clear on what you want from a relationship, not based on external expectations or societal pressures, but based on what truly resonates with you. Without this self-awareness, people often enter relationships blindly, hoping that the other person will define their happiness. But when you embrace solitude, you cultivate a relationship with yourself first, which allows you to engage in relationships from a place of strength rather than dependence. Being alone also teaches you emotional independence. Many relationships suffer because one or both partners expect the other to constantly provide reassurance, validation, or support. While support is a beautiful part of any healthy relationship, it should complement, not replace, a person's own ability to regulate their emotions. When you spend time alone, you learn how to manage stress, disappointment, and uncertainty without relying on someone else to fix it for you. This emotional resilience makes relationships stronger because it removes the burden of responsibility from your partner to always keep you happy. Instead, you bring your own sense of fulfillment into the relationship, making it a space of shared joy rather than emotional dependency. Solitude also helps you set healthy boundaries. Many people struggle with boundaries in relationships because they fear losing the other person's approval. They say yes when they mean no, tolerate behaviors that do not align with their values, and sacrifice their own needs for the sake of maintaining peace. But when you spend time alone, you develop a strong sense of self-respect. You learn what you are willing to accept and what you are not. You become comfortable enforcing boundaries because you are no longer afraid of being alone. This makes you a stronger, more confident partner, capable of maintaining a relationship that is based on mutual respect rather than fear of abandonment. Another powerful lesson that solitude teaches is the ability to appreciate relationships rather than depend on them. Many people take their relationships for granted because they do not know how to be alone. They cling to others out of fear rather than genuine connection. But when you are comfortable being alone, you approach relationships with a different mindset. You do not need someone to fill a void. You choose to be with them because they enrich your life. This creates a relationship dynamic that is based on mutual appreciation rather than neediness. Instead of looking for someone to complete you, you look for someone to complement you, which leads to healthier, more fulfilling connection. Spending time alone also teaches patience and understanding in relationships. When you are constantly around others, it is easy to become reactive, to misinterpret situations, and to let small frustrations escalate into bigger conflicts. But solitude teaches you the value of self-reflection. It allows you to step back, process emotions, and respond with thoughtfulness rather than impulse. This ability to pause and reflect makes you a better communicator, a better listener, and a more emotionally mature partner. Being alone strengthens relationships because it helps you recognize the difference between loneliness and love. Many people stay in unhealthy relationships simply because they are afraid of being alone. They mistake attachment for love and cling to relationships that do not serve them. But when you embrace solitude, you realize that being alone is not something to fear, it is something to value. This gives you the strength to walk away from relationships that do not align with your growth and to choose connections that are built on genuine love and respect rather than fear of loneliness. When you know how to be alone, you bring strength, confidence, and emotional stability into your relationships. You are not looking for someone to save you. You are looking for someone to grow with. You do not enter relationships out of fear. You enter them out of choice. And that choice makes all the difference in creating deep, meaningful, and lasting connections. Solitude teaches you the power of discipline by forcing you to rely on yourself, set your own standards, and develop the mental toughness necessary to stay committed to your goals. In a world filled with constant distractions and external influences, many people struggle with discipline because they are always reacting to their environment instead of intentionally shaping their own path. When you embrace solitude, you remove the noise and create a space where you are fully responsible for your actions, choices, and habits. This is where true discipline begins. When there is no one watching, no one pushing you, and no one holding you accountable except yourself. Being alone forces you to take full responsibility for how you use your time. Without external pressures dictating your schedule, it becomes easy to waste hours on meaningless activities or fall into unproductive habits. But when you recognize that no one is coming to rescue you, no one is going to force you to succeed, and no one is going to make you stay consistent, you begin to develop the inner strength required for discipline. You start setting your own routines, structuring your day with purpose, and committing to the habits that move you forward. This self-imposed structure is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who merely dream about them. Solitude also sharpens your ability to focus. Many people struggle with discipline, not because they lack motivation, but because they are constantly pulled in different directions by external distractions. Social interactions, entertainment, and digital noise make it difficult to stay committed to any single pursuit. But when you spend time alone, you remove these distractions and create an environment where focus becomes your natural state. You learn to sit with a task for long periods, to work through challenges without seeking immediate gratification, and to build the patience necessary for mastery. This kind of deep focus is what allows disciplined individuals to excel in any field. Another powerful lesson that solitude teaches is the importance of consistency. Discipline is not about making one great effort. It is about showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. Many people rely on external motivation to keep them going, but motivation is fleeting. True discipline comes from within, and solitude helps you develop this internal drive. When you are alone, there is no one to encourage you or remind you why you started. You must learn to push yourself, to stay committed even when progress is slow, and to trust that small, consistent actions lead to big results. Spending time alone also strengthens your ability to delay gratification. Most people struggle with discipline because they want immediate rewards. They want success without sacrifice, results without effort, and change without patience. But solitude teaches you the value of long-term thinking. When you remove external distractions, you gain a clearer perspective on what truly matters. You start making decisions based on your future self rather than your present desires. This ability to prioritize long-term growth over short-term pleasure is the foundation of discipline. It allows you to resist temptation, stay on track, and keep working toward your goals even when the rewards are not immediate. Another important aspect of discipline that solitude reinforces is self-mastery. When you are constantly surrounded by others, it is easy to be influenced by their expectations, opinions, and habits. But when you spend time alone, you are forced to confront your own weaknesses, distractions, and excuses. You begin to see the patterns that hold you back, and more importantly, you develop the discipline to change them. Instead of blaming external factors for your lack of progress, you take ownership of your actions. You learn to control your impulses, manage your time wisely, and create a life that aligns with your highest standards. Solitude also teaches resilience, which is a critical component of discipline. There will always be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. Many people give up at the first sign of difficulty because they have never built the mental toughness to push through adversity. But when you embrace solitude, you develop the ability to handle struggle on your own. You learn to push past discomfort, to keep going even when progress is slow, and to trust in your ability to overcome obstacles. This resilience is what allows disciplined individuals to stay committed to their path no matter how difficult it becomes. Solitude strips away every excuse and forces you to rely on your own discipline to achieve your goals. It teaches you to set your own standards, manage your own time, and stay consistent even when no one is watching. It strengthens your ability to focus, your capacity for self-control, and your willingness to delay gratification for something greater. Those who learn to embrace solitude do not need external motivation to succeed. They have built the internal discipline to stay committed to their path no matter what. Being alone is not a weakness. It is a source of strength. It is in solitude that you discover who you truly are, free from external influences and distractions. It sharpens your mind, builds emotional resilience, strengthens self-reliance, and teaches you the discipline necessary to achieve greatness. It empowers you to take full control of your life, to set your own standards, and to develop a mindset of independence. When you embrace solitude, you no longer seek validation or depend on others for happiness. Instead, you cultivate a deep sense of confidence, self-sufficiency, and inner stability. The power of being alone lies in what it teaches you. It forces you to confront your emotions, manage your energy, and develop the patience to stay committed to your goals. It strengthens your relationships by making you emotionally independent, allowing you to bring value rather than neediness into your connections. Most importantly, solitude teaches you the power of discipline, the ability to stay focused, to delay gratification, and to push forward even when no one is watching. True success in any area of life begins with the ability to stand strong on your own. When you master solitude, you master yourself, and when you master yourself, there is nothing in this world that can shake you.